Hey guys, it's Marcus, Michael, Karen, and Skylar, biology students at Brian McMahon High School. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about lactic acid fermentation. In this picture, you see a man in pain. He is probably in pain because he was lifting weights and his body was not able to supply enough oxygen that he needed in order to lift more weights. So what his body did was it began to break down glucose without oxygen in a process called fermentation.
You're probably wondering, what is fermentation? Well, fermentation releases energy from food molecules by making ATP, adenosine triphosphate, when there is no oxygen available. Fermentation takes place after glycolysis, the breakdown of glucose by enzymes, releasing energy, and pyruvic acid. Fermentation happens when there is no oxygen present. Its goal is to produce energy when oxygen is low. There are two main types of fermentation. There's lactic acid fermentation and alcoholic fermentation. We are going to expand more on the first one, lactic acid fermentation.
Lactic acid fermentation is what occurs in you, meat, and other animals. It could also happen in plant cells and bacteria. If you play soccer, basketball, football, baseball, etc., you will understand what it's like to have your muscles be sore from playing your sport the day before. The reason for that soreness is a buildup of lactic acid. Lactic acid builds up because you don't have enough oxygen to supply to break down food through the process of cellular respiration. You may wonder, what do I do to get rid of the lactic acid? In order to get rid of that lactic acid, you do more physical activity.
Here is a visual of the process of lactic acid fermentation. You begin with the molecule glucose. The glucose molecule splits and forms two molecules of pyruvate, the end product of glycolysis. The chemical reactions from that make two molecules of ATP. These reactions would not happen without the oxidizing power of NAD+, an electron carrier involved in glycolysis that helps to pass energy from glucose to other pathways in the cell. The NAD+ get turned into NADH. The goal of the lactic acid fermentation is to produce a lot of ATP, causing you to split a lot of glucose, which then means you need a steady supply of NAD+. In order to get the steady supply of NAD+, you have to get the NADH that the NAD+ produced and recycle it to produce more of the NAD+ you need. The only way to get that recycle process is to turn the pyruvate into lactic acid. So in conclusion, glucose creates two ATP and two lactic acid molecules.
Now that we have explained what lactic acid fermentation is, we are going to review the main points. We learned that fermentation is the process of releasing energy from food molecules by making ATP when there is no oxygen available. Lactic acid fermentation is what occurs in you, me, and other animals. The reason for muscle soreness is a buildup of lactic acid. Glucose creates two ATP and two lactic acid molecules. We hope that our explanation on lactic acid fermentation helps you understand the concept of it.
Created using Powtoon.